Out of all of the tanks in Marvel Rivals, Thor had the most unique gameplay and the most unique kit, and that is what gravitated me towards him once I started playing this game. He was not only able to dive, but he was able to brawl and somewhat poke decently with his Rune Awakening ability. But now with his recent changes and with the addition of other characters to the game like Emma Frost, Thor has fallen way down in the ranking amongst the other tanks, and frankly is one of the worst characters in the game right now. But how did we get here? And how do we fix Thor? But before we get into all that, guys, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on the video, as it does help me out a lot. If we can hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, I'm going to recreate this thank you video on live stream. So if you want to see me do that, make sure to hit those buttons down below, and let's get on with the video. When the game first came out, everyone had a defined role. Either you were a poke, brawl, or dive character. But Thor was unique in the fact that he was able to do all three. Not as effectively as other characters per se, but he was able to do all three well enough to be able to get a lot of value out of his character if you were able to utilize his kit to the fullest extension. This is what gravitated me towards this character, by being able to extract a lot of value out of his kit by changing my playstyle mid-game to suit whatever the team comp I was running, what the enemy was running, the map I was playing on, whatever the case may be. I was able to get the max amount of value out of my character depending on the situation at hand. Thor's gameplay was unique in the fact that you had two main states, one where you're wielding Mjolnir and you're able to shift enemies around and use your right click to finish off short combos, and your Rune Awakening form where you use all your Thor force and allow yourself to throw lightning blasts at range. This gave Thor a lot of versatility in his kit, allowing him to do a lot of things all of the time, but recently, he has been falling short in all of those categories. But first, let's identify some of Thor's weaknesses. As of right now, given his recent changes of being able to cancel Rune Awakening, every other change to this character has been a direct nerf. When using an ability, you gained Overshield, which was his way of mitigating damage. Thor has no physical barrier or shield to hide behind, he just has to soak up damage, so being able to throw out your abilities off cooldown is how you are able to stay alive on this character. You are a very squishy tank without them, so having a nerf to your overshield generation was a really big hit to Thor's survivability. Along with that, moving his right click away from the Thor force and putting it on a 6-second cooldown severely nerfs his combo potential, as well as decreasing the damage by 35 makes him just weaker in general. I do understand that yes, you are able to do some combos a little faster, as the tied cooldowns aren't with your Thor force, so you're able to shift, melee, and then right click immediately after, but the damage is so low now that it is almost negligible, and you can really just swing in another melee and have the same effect. But the main culprit to why Thor is really weak right now is mainly the meta around him. Characters like Thing, Emma Frost, the recent buff to Flyers have all made Thor feel a lot weaker. So today, I wanted to propose some ideas I had to make Thor feel like the God of Thunder that he's meant to be. I want to split these concepts into two main ideas. One where we're putting the right click back onto the Thor force and putting it back on that 2-second cooldown, and one where we aren't. I kind of like the direction they're going because I do like the combo potential, like I said, where you shift, melee, right click, and not having it tied to that Thor force allows that combo to come out a lot faster. But I also understand that having it on the Thor force kind of just makes sense, as it does rejuvenate your Thor force as well as giving you that overshield, adding to your survivability. Firstly, if we want to put it back on the Thor force, I want to move the damage right back up to 100. That is what made that ability so enticing to use, was the fact that you could quickly throw it into your melee weaves, allowing you to do 100 damage burst very quickly, allowing you to burst down very squishy targets, as well as doing a surmountable damage to tanks. As well as having the damage increase, I would also like to add a new effect to the ability, and that is to call down a lightning strike if it hits a target. If it misses a target, just have it return back to Thor, but if it successfully hits a target, I would like for a maybe 35 or 40 damage lightning bolt to strike down from the sky and hit the affecting target, as well as applying a slight stun to them. I feel like this would add a little bit more uniqueness to Thor's kit, as well as making it more rewarding to actually hit longer range targets. Maybe add a range effect where if it's within maybe 5 meters, it doesn't add the effect, but anything beyond that adds that lightning bolt, allowing players to have a little bit more skill expression in their gameplay. Say, if I'm watching someone run away and I can't chase them down, I throw my hammer and I hit the direct, I not only do the 100 damage from the base hammer hit, but I also do an additional 35 or 40 damage from the lightning bolt, as well as a slight stun, allowing me to catch up to them. I feel like that would be a lot more rewarding to play with, and maybe a little bit more fair to play against, given the fact that it's somewhat difficult to hit that longer range hammer throw. As well as this, I would like to move his base HP up to 700. Having it at 600 right now makes him feel really squishy, especially compared to the other tanks, who have other forms of damage mitigation. Thor kind of just stands there and gets hit especially in his Rune Awakening form where he can't have any mobility on him and he's very slow. I think having a higher base HP amount and having a lower overshield generation on his abilities would make him feel a lot more fair, given the fact he isn't constantly having uptime on that overshield, and it's more required on his supports to keep him up instead of him being kind of a one-man army. Now if we want to keep his right click disconnected from the Thor Force and on his own separate cooldown, I would like to see the cooldown actually reduced to 5 seconds, allowing just a slight bit more uptime, and as well as allowing it to do a little bit more damage. I think 65 damage for throwing Mjolnir is a little bit ridiculous. I understand that the melee characters have to be weak for balancing purposes, but I mean, come on, it's the God of Thunder, he's throwing his fucking magic hammer. Let him do some damage with it. As well as doing additional damage, I would like to see a direct hit with this ability do a little bit more of an area of effect damage. Kind of like my lightning concept for my first ability, but more, instead of adding a stun and having more damage, having it just do like a lightning blast or a lightning outburst from the hammer, adding to more of a brawl potential with this ability. Thor really struggles in brawl right now because all the other brawl tanks, they have a way to deal either area of effect damage or they are Emma Frost and they're just the best brawler in the game. So having Thor have a little bit more of an AoE ability with his right click, maybe not the most damaging ability, but just that damage potential would allow him to not only charge his ultimate faster, but also just give him more of a pressuring ability to make him feel like more of a threat on the front line. Finally, if we're going to keep this right click on its own separate cooldown, I want to actually put more power into his Rune Awakening form, because this way we're spamming this Rune Awakening. This whole point of adding it on a separate cooldown is to be able to have the Rune Awakening uptime at its max potential. And I want to see if we can actually add a piercing effect to the lightning blast from the Rune Awakening form. Personally, I think this would give Thor a lot more of a threat potential when he's in brawl form, because having his lightning pass through enemies, having it pass through the front line and a target supports, that would give him a lot more of a threatening position, especially given the fact that he is very vulnerable within this Rune Awakening form, as he can't move. All he can do is kind of shimmy side to side. He can't shift out. He can't do anything of the sort. Although we can cancel it now, that still leaves him very open. He has to commit to it either way. So I think adding Pierce to the Lightning in his Rune Awakening form would give him a lot more threat potential and honestly make him one of the better tanks without absolutely busting his character. Finally, everyone understands that Thor's ultimate is not the best. It's good at chasing down maybe one target if they don't have any movement abilities, or if you combo with your Lightning Realm to add a slow effect, but everyone understands Thor's ultimate is really easy to run away from. So I had this idea to make it somewhat like Psylocke's ultimate, but inverted, given the fact that when there's more people within the ultimate, his charge time is decreased. When you're chasing down only 1 or 2 people with it, the charge time is still the exact same. You do 4 ticks in the air and then you slam down. But when you have 3 or more people within it, the tick time becomes slightly faster, allowing you to have more consistent ultimates, as well as making sure your ultimate actually goes off without people either running away or just killing you outright. Honestly, I don't think Thor needs that much added to his kit to make him more viable and to be able to actually hang with the rest of the brawl tanks, but he needs something to be able to compare against tanks like Thing, like Emma Frost, like Magneto, who are just dominating the meta right now. Giving Thor the ability to brawl better with these tanks honestly would help him out, because his dive potential is pretty okay and his poke potential is actually the best it's been, because now you're able to just spam your Rune Awakening with his current playstyle. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. I really love Thor and I want to see this character get a lot better. I have 50 hours on Thor and seeing how he's just been butchered by the dev team has really broken my heart. So seeing this character be restored to his former glory would really make my day. But with that all being said, make sure to like and subscribe on the video, as it does help me out a lot. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and if y'all can help me hit that goal, I'd be very much thankful. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.